The Vaxian Empire had conquered 12 star systems in as many cycles. Their fleet, vast and terrible, moved through the cosmos like a plague of metal locusts. When they arrived at the edges of human-controlled space, they expected the same swift capitulation they had received from every other species. They were wrong. Danny Reeves stood on the observation deck of the UES Prometheus, her arms crossed as she watched the Vaxian armada approach. Behind her, the holographic display showed their formation, 300 warships, each capable of glassing a planet. Her reflection in the viewport showed a woman hardened by 2 decades of service. Her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun, her uniform decorated with medals that told stories of survival. "Admiral," her first officer Noah Chen said, approaching with a datapad. "They're hailing us again. Same demands." "Let me guess," Danny said without turning. "Surrender all our worlds, submit to their empire, or face annihilation?" "Word for word, ma'am." Danny finally turned to face him. Noah was young, barely 30, but his eyes held the intelligence that had made him the youngest tactical officer in the fleet. She had handpicked him for this moment. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Fleet-wide broadcast. Let everyone hear this." The Vaxian commander appeared on screen, a towering insectoid creature with 4 arms and chitinous armor that gleamed like obsidian. His translator rendered his clicks and chittering into cold mechanical words. "Humans," he said, his mandibles clacking with what might have been amusement. "You stand at the precipice of extinction. Your 67 ships against our might. Surrender, and we shall be merciful. Your species will serve us well as laborers." Danny stepped forward, her hands clasped behind her back. When she spoke, her voice was calm, almost conversational. "Commander Vexthal, I've studied your campaigns. 12 systems conquered, billions enslaved. You've developed quite a reputation." She paused. "But you've never fought humans before. Your bravado is meaningless. We have faced species with far greater—" "No," Danny interrupted, her voice sharp as a blade. "You haven't. You've faced civilized species. Species who valued preservation over victory. Species who surrendered when the cost became too high." She leaned closer to the camera. "We are not them." Vexthal's translator emitted what sounded like a laugh. "Then you choose death, a pity. Your worlds would have been— You want war?" Danny's voice cut through the transmission like ice. Her eyes, usually warm, had become chips of frozen steel. "Then see your worlds reduced to cinders." She nodded to Noah, who closed the channel. "Ma'am?" Noah said quietly. "We're outnumbered 5-1. Danny turned to face her bridge crew. Every eye was on her. "Activate Protocol Scorched Earth. Authorization Reeves Alpha 77. The bridge fell silent. Protocol Scorched Earth was a nightmare scenario, a plan so devastating that it had been locked behind the highest security clearances. Noah's fingers hesitated over his console. "Admiral, are you certain?" "Once we begin, I am certain, Commander. They wanted war. We'll give them war. The human way." Noah's jaw tightened, but he input the codes. Across the fleet, similar scenes played out as captains received their sealed orders. What the Vaxians didn't know, what no enemy had ever discovered, was that humanity had spent 2 centuries preparing for exactly this moment. The Vaxian fleet advanced, their weapons charging. They expected a defensive formation. Instead, the human ships scattered like seeds on the wind, each vessel accelerating to maximum velocity in different directions. "They're running," Vexthal roared with triumph. "Pursue, let none escape." But the humans weren't running. They were positioning. Danny watched her tactical display as her ships reached their coordinates. Each vessel was now in orbit around a Vaxian colony world. Planets the enemy had conquered. Planets filled with their supply depots, their administrative centers, their civilian populations. "All ships report ready," Noah said, his voice tight. Danny had made many difficult decisions in her career, but none like this. She thought of her daughter, safe on Earth. She thought of the billions who would die if humanity lost. She thought of the 12 species already enslaved. "Do you see it?" she asked Noah, pointing at the display. "Every one of their conquered worlds. They spread themselves thin, confident in their superiority." "Yes, ma'am. 67 ships. 67 occupied worlds." Commander Vexthal chose his formation poorly. He thought we were the prize. Danny's voice hardened. He forgot the first rule of war: protect your supply lines. She activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships. Execute Protocol Scorched Earth. Fire." Across 12 star systems, human ships opened fire simultaneously. Not on the Vaxian fleet, on the Vaxian colonies below. Each vessel carried weapons designed not for ship-to-ship combat, but for planetary bombardment.
Kinetic impactors.
Atmospheric igniters, weapons so terrible that using them violated every human treaty. But there were no treaties with the Vaxians. The results were instantaneous and catastrophic. Mushroom clouds bloomed across alien skies. Oceans boiled. Cities that had stood for millennia crumbled to ash. In less than an hour, the Vaxian Empire lost 67% of its conquered territory. On the Prometheus, alarms shrieked as the Vaxian fleet, realizing what was happening, turned their weapons on the human ships. Danny's vessel shuddered as energy weapons tore into its hull. Shields at 40%, someone shouted. Return fire, Danny ordered calmly. All weapons. The humans had spent their first strike on the planets. Now they turned their fury on the fleet itself. And the Vaxians, who had expected frightened prey, found themselves facing cornered predators. Human ships weren't built for elegant warfare. They were built like humans themselves, tough, resilient, and absolutely refusing to die quietly. When shields failed, humans vented atmosphere to fight fires. When weapons overheated, humans fired them anyway and dealt with the explosions. When ships were disabled, humans rammed them into enemy vessels. The Prometheus took hit after hit, but Danny never flinched. She called out orders with mechanical precision, directing her wounded fleet like a conductor leading an orchestra of destruction. Admiral, Noah called out. We're receiving a transmission from Vexthul. On screen, the Vaxian commander appeared, his previously confident demeanor shattered. Behind him, his bridge was in chaos. You destroyed inhabited worlds. His translator struggled with the emotion in his voice. Billions dead. This is not warfare, this is genocide. Danny's expression didn't change. You came to our borders with 300 ships and demanded we surrender or die. You threatened to enslave our species. Did you expect us to follow your rules? She leaned forward. I told you. You've never fought humans before. We don't fight wars to win territory. We fight wars to survive, and when our survival is threatened, there is no price too high, no weapon too terrible, no action too extreme. You're monsters, Vexthul whispered. No, Danny corrected. We're human. And you forgot the most important lesson the cosmos has to teach. Never, ever back a human into a corner. The battle raged for 3 more hours. When it ended, only 18 human ships remained operational, but of the 300 Vaxian vessels, only 47 limped away into the darkness, their empire shattered, their conquered worlds reduced to cinders. Danny stood on her ruined bridge, surrounded by smoke and dying consoles, and opened a channel to Earth Command. This is Admiral Reeves. Mission accomplished. The Vaxian threat has been neutralized. She paused, looking at the carnage displayed before her. The cost was everything. Noah approached, his uniform torn and bloody. Ma'am, we're receiving transmissions from the other conquered species. They're calling us liberators and monsters. Sometimes in the same sentence, Danny nodded slowly. That sounds about right. She looked out at the stars, at the ash clouds that now marked 67 former Vaxian worlds. Make sure this is recorded. Make sure every species in the galaxy knows what happened here. What message do you want to send? Noah asked. Danny turned to face him, her expression carved from stone. Humanity wants peace. We want cooperation, trade, friendship with all sentient species. Her voice dropped. But if you bring war to our door, if you threaten our existence, we will respond with such ferocity that your great-grandchildren will remember this day and tremble. She looked back at the viewport. We will reduce your worlds to cinders and salt the earth so nothing ever grows again. Not because we're evil, but because we refuse to be erased. The message went out across the galaxy within days. The Vaxian War, as it came to be known, lasted only 4 hours but changed the political landscape forever. Other aggressive empires quietly retreated from human borders. Diplomatic overtures increased 1,000-fold, and on every world, in every language, a new phrase entered the lexicon: never anger a human. Because the galaxy had learned a simple truth: humanity would rather burn the cosmos than kneel.